Wait, did she get 50 or did she get 50 more? Because if the pure consort has 30 and Lihua has double that, that'd be 60, which would be more than 50, which means she has the most. Hey everybody, welcome back to the Stoneface Reactions. I'm Theta, and we are back with some more Apothecary Diaries. We're into Season 2, we're on Episode 2 called Caravan, but of course I come with notes, I come with a board, and I come with the thing I talked about last time when we were doing the shorts, which is to say, they gave their top 3 episodes, and I said, oh, I should probably have done this. But since I didn't know that that's what the shorts had, the voice actors giving their thoughts on what their top 3 episodes were, I didn't think to do it ahead of time. Obviously, I would have done it more in character rankings and whatnot. I would have done my top 5, but since pushed into it by the voice actors, I have my top 3 episodes, which I've even given myself a note for, heavily influenced by a recency bias. If I took a longer amount of time to think about it, I might have included more of the starter episodes, but these are all very clearly from the end of the series. So I would say my number 3 is actually most of the VA's number 1, which is episode 24, Jinshi and Maomao. It was a really good episode, and I really liked the payoff at the very beginning with Lock-On. However, the back half of the episode was really just a let's wind things down sort of episode, I felt like, and it didn't have as much strength as a bunch of the other episodes have. Episode 19 is my number 2, Chance or Something More, which is literally the payoff to the entire conspiracy, essentially. It is the action sequence by which everything happens, right? It's also Maomao gets beaten by a guard, wrecked under a pole. Jinshi has to carry her out. The leg wound that she has for the rest of the season comes from here. Lock-On helps her out, and you get the first impetus that Lock-On may not be the villain that you thought he was going to be the entire time. I mean, again, first impetus, not proof. But, yeah. It has kind of a weak beginning, because it feels like kind of forced to get Maomao there. But she gets there, and it all pays off. My number 1, though, is episode 23, Balsam and Wood Sorrel, which is, Lock-On's backstory. And the payoff to, one's the payoff to Maomao encountering him and having a one-on-one where you feel like this guy's a fucking mastermind the entire time. And it turns out that Maomao has basically faked him out and beaten him. But it's the actual revelation that Lock-On is not a bad guy. He is mistaken. Well, he's not mistaken. Everyone mistakes him for what they think he is. And in reality, he is just a victim of fate, essentially. Or his father, if you want to think about it that way. His father sending him off is technically what puts all this into motion, screwing up Maomao's mother's idea of what was going to happen. Anyway, I think that is the best episode of season 1, but again, recency bias. And I did write down a couple of honorable mentions just to indicate that I'm not forgetting the whole season for the ending. The Garden Party was an amazing episode. Honey was an amazing episode. Maomao, the initial episode that made me fall in love with the show, was an amazing episode. Reducing 2 to 1 was also a friggin' amazing episode. Anyway, that is what I said I would do. Now let's go back to what we normally start off with, the board. And yes, at some point I am going to clean this up because we're into season 2 now. A bunch of this isn't, well, it's still going to be relevant, I think. But I think this really needs to be more legible. It's not easy to read. It really expands out the space. I want to condense it in, see what I can do. But again, that's some problem I've been having the entire series. I don't know actually how to do that with the show because there's so many tangential lines of things. Like, I almost feel like I should make like 10 different boards to track 10 different things. Anyway, board changelog is that I added the purple-haired girl and the cat, and then I added the two girls at the end of the episode. Essentially, the only person who got a name was the cat, so not a lot to work with there. And then, of course, the cat's name is Maomao, because that's what it means. And we already have a character named Maomao, so now we have two Maomaos on the board. That's my addition. All right, we have notes, or I have notes. You have your own notes, but you can post in the comments below if you like. This new opening feels a lot more generic anime opening than previous Apothecary Diaries openings have been. And by that, I don't mean the music or anything is bad. I just mean that the first OP felt like an insight into the character's mind, and the second showed the events of the whole arc without context. This one, by comparison, just feels like a showing of the characters with very few insights to be had. Now, of course, I say very few insights because, of course, I had some insights. I don't come to these things with nothing. We've got someone poisoning the tea with a yellow flower on the table. The yellow flower motif seems to carry through the opening, but poisoning feels like the least involved plot item at this point, now that we've gone to at least 2 to 3 major conspiracies. Then someone poisoning another drink, specifically with a dish that we saw before that Lishu has shown to be allergic to in the past, presently on the table. Also purple flowers. I think that might be their color motif, though. Introduction of the purple-haired girl and the cat into the intro. Someone holding a white flower in their hand going purple as a result. Granny hidden behind a wrapped picture that unwraps but can't fully be seen. I did there's like little bottom corner, little side corner, and then the top, but it almost looks like an image of Starry Night. I'm almost willing to bet that Granny is going to die within the first 12 episodes, and she is behind it in shadow because she's dead, and the image is actually going to be a portrait of her in that typical Japanese honoring the dead style. Let's see, where was I at? A male servant shielding themselves and looking uncomfortable among purple flowers, while a large hand in purple in a purple dress, clutches them close to the chest. It's a visual scene that's really hard to describe, hard for me to describe. Going to say child jinshi again, or just a child that looks like jinshi, wandering up to Maomao, investigating a gold rock. By which I mean Maomao is investigating a gold rock, not the child wandering up to her. Addition of the two girls at the end of last episode's preview are now in the opening as well. And lastly, we have hands holding a hairpin, a lump of metal, a folded piece of paper, a mushroom, a piece of golden rock, white flowers, a length of cloth, a moth, and a hair tie and a frog. Sorry, for some reason I wrote down a mother, and I know I only meant to write moth. So yeah, I'm guessing that if you were playing like any of the oh shoot, I can't remember the names. Until Dawn was essentially the first in the series of games, even though it's not connected to them. It feels like that when you go into the menu in those games and you get like the outlines of clues that you haven't found yet. It feels like they're giving us the clues in the beginning that these are the items that are going to be important to figuring out what's going on moving forwards. So, in the notes. So Lulan asked for more ladies in waiting. I've considered her to be doing the Padme thing in the past, unsure of it now, but it's still definitely a move of some sort. Jinshi implies that it makes the other concubines look bad, but I have to think there is more to it than just that. I just don't have any ideas about what that more to it thing would be. at the moment. Maomao is making scented oils in the clinic because some scented oils can cause miscarriages. She says it while checking to make sure the doctor can't hear. No clue why she'd try and hide that from him, implying he doesn't know and she doesn't want him to, or that it's untrue and she doesn't want him to correct her. Either way, it also raises the question as to whether it's a preventative measure or if one of the courtesans is pregnant. And future edit here. Well, never mind. I just paused too early, whispered so the quack wouldn't know about Gokyo's pregnancy. I do that all the time, where I stop and I'll focus on an image in a scene, and then I'll write out a paragraph note about the image, and I'll hit play, and then the character's next conversational piece will be about the thing. But to be fair, that is why we don't pause react here on the channel, because legitimately that would be so fucking annoying to hear somebody give out a diatribe about a thing that is waiting to be happening, right? So I much prefer give out these weird ass notes where I have to note that, oh, I wrote this paragraph and then I found out I was wrong, than to do it in the moment. Because again, pausing breaks the momentum of any scene and the cadence of a joke or an emotion or whatever. Pausing ruins things. We are introducing the concept of disinfecting things with distilled alcohol as well, which could also be a gateway to introducing what heavily distilled alcohol itself can do. Because you gotta remember, a lot of this stuff is being introduced to us, sometimes not for the reasons that the characters are talking for, but for things that can be done with it that other characters will do. So, Maomao wants the virgin ladies in waiting, who it's Jinshi's job to make sure that they remain virginal and not sleeping with anyone, to start learning sexual techniques from books the same way she did last season. With the concubines, of course, I mean. In the off chance that the Emperor is visiting one of his concubines and decides to sleep with a servant instead. Seems like a bit of a stretch to me, but I don't live in the world, I guess. I mean, she indicates it's more towards making a profit, but essentially both things have to remain true for this to work. Another literate servant girl could also be a clue towards something, specifically the one Zhao Lan implied as reading the book to everyone. Considering the reason that Maomao ever even got found out as being literate was because Jinshi was looking for the literate one, to say that there have been other literate girls here the entire time would just be to imply that Maomao is bad at subterfuge, while others have known better. It could also imply someone new that can read that will come up as an important later. Of course, I could be wrong. When Zhaolan was describing the person reading the books to everyone as having made copies, that's the scene after Maomao convinced Elan to make copies. So it seems likely that this person might just be Elan. So Jinshi's plot in convincing the Emperor to spread out a bunch of low-class, high-quality books around the rear palace was to encourage the rise of literacy among the servants there, which, if memory serves, will make them more valuable and expensive. Even Zhaolan recognized and acknowledged this. Well, they've shown again that Gyakyo is from a foreign nation by implying that Lingli might not be welcomed if married off to one, but showing Gyakyo in the sand, kind of like the region that the two girls are coming from at the end of the episode. Also slightly odd because it makes me remember a conversation the servants were having in season 1 about the exceptionally cold place they had to stay in the south, which I thought had something to do with where they were from. Either way, she's never been off of my conspiracy notice, and now we've got people coming in from her home country. Just more things to look out for. high-pitched tone of voice at the end implying something. Nothing better happened to Lingley this season. I don't care if Gyokyo turns out to be evil. That girl's done nothing wrong. And my last note here. So, the mystery of the cat. The doc found a calico, apparently, and this cat looks like a calico to me, so I anticipate that this is just going to lead back to the doc. We've got Maomao looking after it, but the Emperor fully accepting it so that Lingley can have a kitten. I suppose most of the entertainment really comes from the facet of Maomao and Jinshi discussing not understanding the love of cats, and essentially describing their own relationship, which is when Jinshi starts understanding the love of cats. That said, though, those were my notes going into this episode, so nothing left to do but to hop on in and see what we get.
But before we get started,
make sure that you hit the like button,
hit that subscribe button,
comment down below to feed that algorithm.
On top of all that, if you want to watch more shows like this, unfiltered,
uncensored,
and uncut,
as well as some early access stuff,
you can check it out over on the Patreon.
It's just $5 a month, but hey, no pressure.
There's zero pressure in order to do that. It's just a little bit of extra support, and it would be greatly appreciated.
It's also surprising to me that for whatever, it's a matter of whatever copy I'm working with here, but this is technically out of 3 openings that we've gotten so far. I've managed to get my hands on 2 copies that had no subtitles. Granted, the first one did have subtitles. They showed up on screen for half of a second and then vanished. And then the next pair of subtitles would show up on screen and vanish. But this one, it just has no subtitles. So, I mean, it's on me for whatever translation copy I'm getting. Oh, also, that's something I didn't mention. The, whatever is blossoming in the water, it's there at the beginning with Xiaolan, purple-haired girl, and Maomao the cat. But there's also a scene later here in the opening, or in the ending, might be in the ending, where the water is gone and it's just like out there in the bottom of the bowl. That's what I'm calling gold, by the way. Yellow flower motif, as I mentioned. And the 2 girls, all your hints on the wall. Didn't mention that because it's just the Emperor, Jinshi, and Maomao. Clearly don't know what's going on there. Where it looks like Maomao and Jinshi are just both wearing weird outfits and drenched in water.
今回のキャラバン、業者の数も商品の種類も多いな。異国の特使を迎える先行隊ゆえ、いつもより規模が大きく、期間も長いと聞いております。
As far as they're not naming the nation, that's clearly where Gyakyo comes from.
交換が進めています。そうか。大事な外交の相手だ。引き続き頼む。御意。
There's the yellow flowers.
そろそろ衣替えをしようと思います。まずは衣装の整理から。インファ、アイラン、マオマオ。はい。はい、本ニャン様。グイエンはリンリー姫のお世話をお願いね。わかりました。流行遅れのデザインも結構あるのよね。
I mean, I don't understand why Maomao would have to change because she specifically helps here. But her outfit is more because of the fact she travels around all the other houses.
古いのはどうされるんですか？職人が作り直して玉葉様の故郷裁縫で配るのよ。では念のため防虫用の構想を入れておきますね。
Western region. I don't know what that means, considering we know that she comes from a foreign land.
玉葉様のご解任で今以上に人手が必要になるから。他にも理由はあるわよ。50人以上も次女や下女を引き連れて受代した妃がいるんだ。
As per last episode.
玉葉様だってね。動乱妃のことか。確かに帝の長妃である玉葉様の次女が5人しかいないのは世間体が悪い。
I would think more would be inconvenient, especially if you're the emperor trying to get alone time. Wait, did she get 50 or did she get 50 more? Because if the pure consort has 30, and Lihua has double that, that'd be 60, which would be more than 50, which means she has the most.
キャラバン。前に来た時はマオマオはちょうどいなかったのよね。今回のはいつもより規模が大きいの。花町ではさほど珍しくないけど、娯楽の少ない高級ではこの時の買い物が楽しみなのだろう。マオマオも。
I'm surprised they're coming right into the rear palace, since this place should be heavily isolated.
こういう時いつもお小遣いをくれるの。あ、どうしたの？おしゃべりばかりしてないで手を動かしなさい。私も本人に怒られないように気をつけなくちゃね。玉葉様、冗談はおやめください。
It's the music from Maomao's notes. I didn't think you could get pregnant again. Oh, that was something we specifically covered.
お呼びでしょうか、リファ様。
シン、これを皆に。
Oh, we finally get another name to add to this house.
手の空いている次女に買いに行かせます。
ええ、お願いね。
Or district, rather. Oh, is that what they meant by Western District? Part of the rear palace.
シン様、診療所からことづてです。
診療所からことづて？
We're gonna shoot the messenger territory?
キャラバンが滞在するのは5日間。妃やその次女たちがはしゃぐ中に下っ端が入り込んで買い物ができるわけがない。
My problem is we've already had an incompetent lady in waiting at that household, so finding out there might be an evil one too would not play well, I don't think.
高級、つくづく特殊な空間だ。こんなに人がいるのに店はないし、医者もやぶ医者しかいないし、病気にでもかかったらすぐ広がってしまいそうだが、そうでもない。衛生管理はしっかりしているからだ。汚物を捨てる地下水路は堀を通さず、
Oh, they're telling us this for a reason.
の水道技術をやり手の女帝が利用したものだ。衛生面がちゃん
And
と
the
していれば
Emperor specifically.
病気の発生は防げる。それでも重病にかかった時は実家に帰されるが。
Remember, she has people castrated for going to the West to learn things.
最後の日なら少し時間をもらえそうなんだけど。誘われて悪い気はしないな。
Is that the relationship now?
ちょっと奮発しすぎたかしら。いいえ、もっと買ってもよかったのですよ。他のところはもっと買って
What's
い
in
る
the
でしょうか。
box?
確かに水晶宮の次女たちは派手に買い物をするだろうし、リファ妃もなんだかんだ懐が深い。金剛宮ではリーシュ妃をおだてて次女たちが自分の欲しいものを買わせたりするだろう。雑魚の宮だとあれだけ
It's gonna be indicated they make fun of her and hate her sometimes. Didn't see Kunan there, though.
入りきる玉葉妃は経済的だ。明日もキャラバンの商人が来るから今日の分は片付けますよ。はて、何かあった？袖のついた着物と胸のすぐ下で帯を締めるスカートが多いな。このタイプ以外の服はなかったのですか？こればっかりだったわよ。流行りだからって言ってたけど。玉葉様の解任はまだ外に知られていない。普通なら客が好む服を持ち込むはずだ。玉葉様には帯を腰で結ぶような。しかしお腹が大きくなれば締め付けない服を選ぶだろう。
So they custom brought outfits for
あ
her.
えてこういうデザインのものを持ち込んだとしたら考えすぎだと思いたいが。明日は帯を腰でしっかり締めるデザインのものがあるか聞いた方がいいと思います。そうね、もっと違うものを買っておかないと。
Yeah, I guess the idea is that they think if she's pregnant again, they might target her with even more poisonings, which would then put Ling Ling in danger. More danger.
売れ残りばかりだな。玉葉様からお小遣いをもらったけど、これください。
Well, there we go. That's one of the things from the hands. The hair tie.
妹とやらがいたらこんな生き物なのだろうか。ママは行きたいところないの？付き合うよ。じゃあちょっと覗きたいところがあるんだけど。
I'm glad they brought back Xiaolan. I mentioned that she went missing for a long time.
それに最終日に来た理由がもう一つある。値引きだ。高級という特殊な場所で適正価格で品物を売るとは思えない。簡単にぼったくれると思うなよ。
Oh, of course, that's where she would get it from. Please don't get spit on.
Jasmine 茶か。これください。待って。
Okay, purple hair girl. But also, I'm assuming that's the thing that blossoms out in the water that we see in the opening.
今医局にいる。そっか、よかった。あれ？シスイもお休みもらったの？
And now we got a name.
シャオランも来てたんだ。何買ったの？私は見物だけ。あ、マオマオに紙紐買ってもらったんだ。かわいい。二人は知り合いか。シャオランと同じ娼服の衣を着ているということは、いつもの洗濯場を使っている女官なのだろう。
Oh, I didn't recognize they were called court ladies.
場所を移そう。これ、3つください。
ジョーちゃんに友達がいるなんて知らなかったよ。
ヤブ医者が大変失礼なことを言ってくれるが本当のことなので仕方ないだろう。
The name tag is way too big for the cat.
え、なんか変な名前だね。マオマオの方がよっぽど変だ。
お茶でも入れようかね。
お茶は持ってきました。
じゃあ茶菓子だね。
Yep, there we go.
ジャスミンの工芸茶。温めた器に入れてぬるめのお湯をゆっくり注ぐとこうしてつぼみが開く。なかなか入れる機会はないだろうけど。
ジョーちゃんたち、今回だけ特別だよ。
This is the table with all the stuff on it with poison happenings in the opening. Although I would swear it was a white teapot and not the brown one we see there.
来て半年ほどなのだろう。今回はいつもより長いの？
それはね、近々異国から特使が来るかららしいよ。
へえ、偉い人が来るんですね。それ言っちゃっていいんですかね。そういえばさ、最近北側で変な匂いがするんだけど、知らない？はっ、北側？知らない。
I don't remember which
あっちは荒れているからね。水路でも詰まったかな。
汚物を流す地下水路が詰まれば地上に
I
匂い
remember
が
which
出てくるかもしれない。
concubine was in the north.
シスイは北側に行く仕事があるの？あっちは草むらが多いのだよね。上手だね。
We're gonna have her illustrate for the
ここに
books.
はたくさん虫がいるからいっぱいかけていいよね。虫もまた薬の材料になる。
I'm wondering if I have to go back to the flow of the sewer system of this place to investigate where the water comes in from, because I don't remember.
雲？ 集めるのが大変でまだ試したことがないが、雲の糸には止血効果があるという。行ってみる？行く。行ってみる。見てみて、これなんて綺麗な色でぷっくりしてて可愛いんだ。食べると美味しくてママもきっと。
Yeah, now she's gonna turn out to be a villain at some point. You don't just randomly introduce a character as smart as the main character. Someone's ill. Was that like coughing I was hearing?
高級では香油が大流行している。臭い。本当に臭い。裁縫の輸入品は香りが強い。単品ではいい香りでも混ざり合うと危険だ。ごめんなさい。装備か。この前作った装備水を売りさばけば儲かるかもしれないな。いや、匂いが強い装備の精油は妊婦に悪い影響を与えてしまう。
Man can't bring the scent back to you. I mean, back with you.
この匂いも。行かなければ流行に最も流されやすい水晶宮へ。
But you said she can't get pregnant again, so...
あなた、何のつもり？
水晶宮の次女頭シンから抗議文が届いている。お前はもう少し節度がある人間だと思っていた。
すみません。つい興奮して相手の了承も得ずにやってしまいました。
なんだその変態のような言い訳は。
今度はちゃんと了解を取って嗅ぎます。
なぜ嗅ぐ？
あらら。反省はこのくらいか。これでも理由があるんです。
それ相応の理由なのか？
はい。
I've got no clues.
そこに書かれているものを読んでいただいてもよろ
I'm
し
gonna
い
have
で
to
すか？
put it together while she's talking.
装備、安息香、青霧、入香に経費。
どれも香の名前みたいね。はい。今日私が嗅いだ女官たちがつけていた香料や精油の名前です。
それがどうした？
どれも妊婦に害のあるものばかりです。
I just don't have enough knowledge of this stuff to be able to, like, throw that out there.
続けて。キャラバンには香油の他にも香辛料や茶葉も売られていました。これは私が買ったも
I
の
mean,
です。
other than the fact that obviously they sold dresses specifically for pregnant people, so they knew a pregnancy was happening while selling the stuff.
つまり、これらを使うと流産の可能性が高まるということか。
どれも少量であれば問題ありません。大量摂取したり、誤った使い方をしなければ、もっと早く気づいておけばよかった。祭りの雰囲気に流されていたのかもしれない。
Are we hidden?
出入りの業者はわかります。
Lee How with the same thing again?
商品一つ一つの種類を事細かに記してはいないはずだ。全部検品したんだがな。
これってあれに似ていませんか？
あれってなんだ？
あまり副作用が知られていないもの。
The face powder?
高級にあってもおかしくないもの。似ていませんか？リンリー姫を犯し、リファ妃の巫女を死なせたものに。
The face powder.
毒のおしろい。はい、鉛入りのおしろいです。
つまりそれは高級内に毒物を持ち込もうとした者がいると考えていいのか？
私はここに入ってきたものの中に毒になりうるものが多くあると分かっただけです。それぞれは毒として扱われる商品ではありません。ただ他の妃たちにも注意した方がいいと思います。
ガオシュン。
はい、ジン様。
偶然が重なり必然となったあの事件に似ている。
本にゃお願い。はい、玉葉様。グイエン、翡翠宮にある香油と香辛料、茶葉の確認をお願い。はい。 仮死状態から蘇り逃亡した女官水霊の行方も未だに分かっていない。
Is that who we heard coughing before? If it was coughing.
中市での暗殺未遂事件は多くの人間が関わっている可能性が高い。
I'm glad we're at episode 2 and we're bringing everything back again.
どこまでが憶測でどこまでが確信だろう。
憶測で物を言っちゃいけないよ。
Which is exactly the opposite of the guy who literally says how great Lock-On is, and then all Lock-On does is conjecture.
キャラバンには興味が向かなかっただろう。こういうが流行しなければ気づくこともなかった。今回だけこんなに入ってきたのかもしれない。どれが偶然でどれが必然なのか。
They're staying longer for a special reason.
ああ、疲れた。懐かしいな。昔姉ちゃん
Is the tea thing a clue? Something that stays one way and then opens up under a certain condition?
それは毒ではなかったのか？
毒もまた少量では薬です。何よりお茶一杯でどうにかなるようなものではありませんし、私は妊婦でもありません。
それもそうだな。
それにここは厨房です。jinshi様の立ち入る場所ではありません。
細かいことを言うな。
ガオシュン様はどうされました？
There's also the element that the fact that they talked about Gyakio hiding her pregnancy could mean that any of the other girls could be hiding their pregnancies too.
それで最後です。もう一度湯を入れても出がらしになります。
それでいい。
そうもいかないだろう。
この茶には他にどんな作用がある？
心を和らげます。不眠にも効きますし、目覚めの効果もあります。他に妊娠中はよくありませんが、
Has improve sleep and wake them up.
分娩を促すと聞いたことがあります。
いい作用の方が多いな。
ええ、だからこそ副作用が目に入らないのです。白茶です。
出がらしでいいと言った。
そういえばジャスミンには他にも違う効用がありました。
どんな？
不妊です。主に男性側が原因の。
You didn't have to worry about that. One, you think he's a eunuch. Two, he's actually drinking something to make that happen.
あまり好みじゃないな。帰る。
やっちまった。
ジン様。
伝令は済んだか？
はい。それと中級妃であるジン妃が亡くなりました。
ジン妃が？
Who is Jin?
毒？まさか。
I also feel like the translation. God, that felt like a quick episode. I feel like the translation has switched from concubine and consort, and I've adapted the way that they've been talking about it without thinking about it. Because there should only be 4 of the characters that they've been referring to as concubines, unless they're referring to a former concubine. Because we never heard of a Jin before. Certainly it's not Aodu that they're talking about. I don't know. I think that they have lured me into a false sense of security with the first episode being so soft. I don't know how to describe this here. They didn't do anything to lead me to believe that the conspiracies were still at play in the first episode, even though I said I did not doubt that they were. And here, it feels like we're going heavy on, oh yeah, all the conspiracies are still going on, plus this new outside effort, which could entirely be affecting everything. Because, you know, not for nothing, they know what's going on, by the element that they're sending specific items that target specific people. And then are sending in the poisons to go with it based on that. You remember from the hand thing from the opening, mushrooms are one of them. The element that the white flower is also a thing from the opening, but it's not one of the clues. Well, no, actually, white flowers. There were white flowers in the hands too. So, yeah, I mean, obviously, I didn't get any clues from that other than the fact that it looks like one of them burnt their arm, but also the other one was wrapped up in bandages that made it look like they were a leper, which I clearly don't think a leper would be involved in working in the rear palace unless they were clearing out that the blockage in the north waterway thing, because that doesn't seem like a clue that's going nowhere. So that has to be an important aspect somehow, and I do think that Maomao is eventually going to get there through the whole "I would like to go there" conversation they had about the bugs. But I don't know what it's going to be. Right? I anticipate it's going to be dead bodies. Right? That this is where we've been hiding dead bodies or something, but I don't know why or how or even who. I can't. Here's the thing. I have been pointing a finger at Gyakyo since like episode 2, right? That things didn't seem right there. And now this caravan, to me, feels like it was implied to have been coming from the country that she came from originally, but also seems to be targeting her, but maybe it's not. Maybe it seems to be targeting her as a matter of red herring. And maybe it's actually targeting Li Hao, because she also is doing the... Sorry, my camera didn't go down far. She's also doing this, but it was implied to us that she couldn't have it anymore because of the events. No, wait. Sorry. For those of you who kept with and didn't like immediately post down below that you're wrong, I think maybe I'm thinking of Adu. Adu can't because of the complications at childbirth from the backstory. I thought Li Hao couldn't, but I guess there was nothing that was actually said that said she couldn't. So I guess she possibly still can, but there was the note from the clinic, which is probably meant to imply the miscarriage, because they were also implying that this is the house that would be more towards buying fad stuff. So it feels like they're doing to her again what they did in episode 1 to her. She's getting fridged twice, essentially. Not a fan of that. Not a fan of that at all. But why? If it doesn't target, or if it doesn't adversely affect Gyakyo, I think that pans into my previous theory, which, if memory serves, was the element that even though Li Hao almost died, and her child did die, Gyakyo did not seem that badly affected. Like, Gyakyo was sick, but not to the degree that Li Hao was. Gyakyo, Li Ling survived. Maybe this is a stretch here. Maybe the tie-in is back to the double suicide episode when Maomao goes back home, essentially. The indication there was that the consort, courtesan? Concubine? No, the consort, well, whoever, the Pleasure District girl, poisoned herself only slightly, and then poisoned the guy she was with more so that he would die and that she would be found in a state that she could be brought back from. Maybe the idea herein is that Gyokyo is avoiding suspicion by still poisoning herself, but only just enough to look like they're both being poisoned, where Li Hao is definitely getting more back in the original, I mean. And the idea is still they're doing it again. So Gyakyo would still be guilty while looking as though she has nothing to do with anything. And I guess what the why would she do that? Technically, it seems to be implied here that the former empress still holds a lot of authority when it comes to what goes on in the empire and the palace, etc. So that if Gyakyo was the mother of the only children of the emperor, and the emperor died, then she would have that authority as soon as honestly the former empress was out of the picture, right? The only threat to that would be Jinshi, but that would require somebody to know who Jinshi was. So, other side of the conspiracy is to get him out of the picture. See, it is what Maomao says. It's conjecture without evidence, but that's my conspiracy theory right now, and it also puts everybody together. Most people. It puts most people together. It still doesn't explain the pure consort, but maybe she's a part of it, because again, she was staring at Jinshi, so maybe they have the knowledge of who Jinshi is, and they spread that to Gyakyo, and they're assisting in the effort for some future benefit. I don't know. That's my theory right now. Otherwise, though, we do still have Maomao's notes for this episode, so let's go ahead and hop on in and see what we get from those.
マオマオの独り言。どれが偶然でどれが必然なのか。高級でまた何かよからぬことが起こりそうな予感が。
I mean, that's the way it's looking.
ここでマオマオの豆知識。黄色のマンだらけの花言葉は偽りの魅力。
I said they had that whole theme in the opening.
花や葉、根っこなど全体に強い毒性がある。
I guess that's one way to ensure that your roots get manure.
疑い出すと全てが怪しく思えてくる。マオマオ、痛いだ。
Your hair ties are different.
無事だった？何もされてない？
何の話？
高級に変態児女が出没したんだって。後をつけてきて突然衣の匂いを嗅いでくるらしいよ。
変態児女？へえ。
やっぱり。
Well, I guess rumors spreading of Maomao.
と思って心配で探しに来ちゃった。
自分の身は心配にならなかったのだろうか。そういえば、ジンシ様がその件は対応したって言ってたような。
本当？よかった。
確か、蘭の花言葉は純粋、清純。シャオラン。ぴったりの名前だ。
Something is fucking gonna happen to this girl. You guys are focusing way too much on her.
あれ、この文字、この間練習したような。お楽しみに。
It's a none too subtle clue. Literally, last season, she was teaching Lingli poisonous mushroom as a word. She started to teach Xiaolan there the word for poisonous mushroom. Clearly, we're going to get a poisonous mushroom. This is the least thinly veiled thing that they've thrown at us. But yeah, no, the fact that they brought Xiaolan back at the end of season 1, that was just fun, because I said, oh, we haven't seen the rumor mill girl in forever, and then she came back. But now she's here at the start of season 2, and they have focused on her, I was about to say 3 out of 2 episodes. If you count the Maomao's notes as things, then 3 out of 4 things she has been the focus of. I was about to do emotional math in my head. Like, who would you rather have something happen to, Lingli or Zhao Lan. And it's like, neither of them. Neither of them would be my answer. I would prefer that they both get out of this happy. But then again, well, to be fair, most of the time, something kills a character in the show. The person who dies is someone we haven't spent a lot of time on. Honey, for example, that was the handmaid of Adu, which we spent maybe 10 minutes with, I want to say, before we confronted her, which caused her to kill herself. But other than that, I can't off the top of my head think of somebody who we've watched die that we've intimately known. So to suddenly change that dynamic by killing someone that we, like, met when we first got here, or the small child that we've been spending all our time with, would be horrible. It'd be devastating. Either way, I think this has been an incredibly informative episode. It reverses the problems that I had with the original episode, which is to say, we actually accomplished something. I feel like the conspiracy is still afoot. I am not concerned anymore about what is and isn't going to happen. So, I think we're going to go ahead and leave it there for this episode. So once again, I've been Theta. This has been Stoneface Reactions, and we will catch you next time. Bye-bye.
Hey everybody, thanks for watching another Stoneface Reactions. If you have an idea of another video we could go ahead and watch, go ahead and put it in the comments down below and we'll add it to the wheel. Be sure to like, comment, and subscribe, and let us know what you thought about this video, what parts you liked. And until then, we'll see you next time. Is this too goofy?